Good morning and welcome. My name is Beth Chronister and I serve here as your assistant minister. Welcome to University Unitarian Church. It is May 16th, 2021 on a beautiful, sunny Seattle morning in the spring. I am joined this morning by Dwight Beckmeyer on piano and our tech team. And this morning's service is actually going to be it's a special service. And this is one that comes to us from UU Ministry for Earth, which is one of our partner organizations within the larger Unitarian Universalist world. And this organization it has been sharing this service across UU congregations as part of their spring season of sacred activism. And so what we'll be weaving into our own service elements today will be a prelude by Leah Morris and Nick Newland and a sermon by the Reverend Yadenee hailu, who is actually, for some of you who remember that I went on a pilgrimage between Selma and Montgomery a couple years ago, Yadenee was one of the leaders of that pilgrimage. So it's a joy to invite her into our virtual pulpit this morning. A few announcements before we begin. You are invited to join the 8th Principal Listening Circle following service today. This will be a continuation in building on the conversations that happened in April. And also, Flower Communion. We are there in this time of year already. Flower Communion will be on June 6th. You are invited to send pictures of yourself with flowers, since we will not be able to be here with exchanging flowers during the worship service. So you're invited to send pictures of yourself with flowers in so we can have it as part of our slideshow. And we will also, following the service, have a Flower Communion tailgate, the first ever Flower Communion tailgate in our parking lot. Members of the community, you are invited, your families are invited to come and join. Look at the gateway for more information about how to do both the tailgate and register and sending in the flowers. Thank you. I'm looking forward to this day. Hopefully we'll be blessed by weather like this. And then finally, it is a time of great transition, as you are each well aware. In this time of transition, we're having a lot of conversations about when and how we will meet back together as an in-person community. And I want to assure you that as leaders and as your staff, we are in ongoing conversation about how to best respond to changing guidelines from both Washington State and the CDC on religious gatherings, on singing, and on masking. And in these conversations, we are simultaneously trying to hold people's real need, felt deep need to come back together in person, and also the gravity and the potential impact in deciding how and when we will do this safely. We are an intergenerational community. Here is the lifespan from babies and very young children all the way up to elders. And our community includes people who are vaccinated and unvaccinated, and people whose health status make them more vulnerable. And so these decisions carry a certain weight to them because our shared decisions and our shared actions impact the whole community. In some ways, we are always in the room together when just some of us are in the room together. And after a year of needing to be incredibly cautious, there will be anxiety, complexity, and times of confusion in this transition. However, as a member of the executive team and as one of your ministers, I want you to know that we are working on how we will return in person safely and thoughtfully within this landscape that is shifting all the time. You are in our thoughts. You are with us when we are having these discussions. And we are committed to being clear and transparent in our communications with you, UUC members and friends, during this time that's going to be kind of wonky on occasion. And because it is a time of change and transition and unknown, we ask in advance for your grace and your patience. As a community, we have traveled through so much transition together over the past 5 years. And because of this, I know we can do this. And we can do this because we will do it together. With that said, welcome to University Unitarian Church. Welcome to worship. It is good to be together.
This old world may be sleeping, but we have been dreaming of a brighter day. Some of us keeping our minds on the reason. Beautiful season is coming our way. Day could be the day. Hey, little flower, you got the power to push through green blankets. You ready to grow? Hey there, sweet bluebird, tell me what you heard. I want to sing that great song that you know. Wake from your slumber and try to remember a time when we all were together as one. A new day is coming, yes, there will be sunshine. Wipe away teardrops, springtime will come. It's been so lonely, but that was only our chance to realize the love that we need. Come, take my hand now, let's make a plan how to stay wide awake. Let's fly you and me away. Wake from your slumber and try to remember a time when we all were together as one. A new day has come, tell me you feel the sun. Wipe away teardrops, springtime has come. I'm wide awake now.
I call us to worship with these words from Reverend Betsy Darr. May the light of this chalice give light and warmth to our community when we are joyful and when we despair. And may we feel that warmth spread from our circle to wider and wider circles until all know they belong to the one circle of life. Welcome to worship this morning. From wherever you are part, integral to this one circle of life and of this community. Would you please join now in singing our doxology, followed by hymn number 27, I Am That Great and Fiery Force.
My name is Melody. Arya and I are excited to share the Time for All Ages with you. Today's Time for All Ages story is about feelings, and we're joined by a very special guest.
Hollis the Hedgehog! Hi, everybody!
Hollis is having a lot of feelings about attending in-person school again. Hollis hasn't seen their teachers or the inside of their school in over a year. Today, we're going to help Hollis figure out and manage their emotions using 4 steps. First, it's helpful to remember that living through a pandemic is really stressful. It's also stressful to change routines or start doing things we haven't done in a long time. Stress makes all kinds of feelings visit us.
That's right. You are not alone if you're having a tough time or experiencing a lot of feelings.
Ooh, that makes me feel better. I'm glad to hear I'm not alone.
The second step is to feel your feelings, which can include figuring out where your feelings are living in your body.
Okay, Hollis, where do you feel your emotions in your body right now?
I feel my emotions in my tummy right now.
That's great, Hollis. Now, just take a moment and let yourself feel your feelings in your tummy. Your feelings can't hurt you, even if they seem scary.
Third, it can be helpful to learn about your feelings and to specifically name which ones are visiting. A wheel of emotions can help with this.
Emotion wheels can help us figure out what specific emotions are visiting us when we aren't sure. Emotions that are similar are next to each other on the wheel. The emotions on the inside of the wheel are general, and the emotions on the outside of the wheel are specific versions of that general emotion. Hollis, take a look at the middle of this wheel. What word best describes what you're feeling? Happy, disgust, sad, fear, anger, or surprise?
I think I'm feeling fear.
Okay. Now I'm going to read the emotions related to fear on the outside of the ring. Try and listen with your mind and with your body to see which one fits best. Scared, anxious, rejected, or insecure?
Oh, insecure. I'm feeling insecure. I'm happy I get to see my friends and teachers, but I'm also insecure. I'm worried we will just go back to online school. I'm also worried about whether my friends will still like me.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Hollis.
Fourth, there are ways that we can calm ourselves down when we're having a lot of different feelings. Usually, this involves paying attention to our breathing and trying to breathe more slowly. One special way to do this is called balloon breathing.
I'm going to teach you how to do this thing called balloon breathing. You can follow along with me. We're going to start by holding our arms out in sort of a big circle in front of us. When we breathe in, we're going to raise our arms up over our head. When we breathe out, we'll let them down in front of us. Let's try that out. Breathe in and out. In and out. Let's try that one more time. In and out.
Oh, I feel better. Thanks so much for your help, friends.
You're so welcome. I am so happy you're feeling better, Hollis.
Good morning, UUC. My name is Becky Andrews, and I have been a member of University Unitarian Church since 2013. I started attending when my youngest son, Elliot, was about 3 months old, hoping to find a community in which my husband and I could raise our children with a set of shared values. I have certainly found that, but I personally have gained so much more from UUC. I've been able to engage in covenant groups and in book discussions, and during the pandemic, a remote Beloved Conversations pod. I have gotten so much out of these activities and increased my sense of community within the church. I've also gotten a lot out of the volunteer activities I've been able to do, including teaching religious education, serving on the HR committee, and the Social Justice Steering Committee. Each time I engage with the community at UUC, I come away with my cup filled and my sense of calm restored. I also often come away with my assumptions challenged and a desire to learn more and reflect more deeply. Because of all that I get from UUC, I make a financial pledge each year, and I invite you to do the same. I also invite you to join in saying the words that we say each Sunday. This church is a community of ourselves. Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. When we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm our lives within it.
I am particularly touched with gratitude on this morning. It is something of a technological miracle that each week in over a year of having online church that we have been able to welcome in so many voices and gifts of members of this community in the stories and the reflections and in the music. So, gratitude. Would you please join me now in the spirit of prayer and of meditation, taking time to settle into your breath and turn toward this present moment. Spirit of life, holy oneness, Mother Earth. In our times of greatest fear and confusion, we reach out for you, call your many names forgetting your ever-abiding presence in all of life. You who is in the wind as well as in breath. You in the ground beneath our feet as in the seedling making its way toward the sun. You in the waters which cover and rain down upon the earth, connecting all of life with all of time. May we remember, may we return to this sacred gift of being part of the whole of creation. May we live knowing that we share an origin as well as a destiny. May we forge bonds of love, equity, and justice. And as the trees teach, may we rise up rooted. To these words, I invite you to add the silent prayers and intentions of your own hearts. May it be so, and amen.
Today we have taken inspiration from Greta Thunberg, who was a young Swedish female autistic climate activist whose speech at the World Economic Forum in 2019 inspired the song by Emma's Revolution, Our House is on Fire. Here's an excerpt of Greta's speech. Our house is on fire. I'm here to say our house is on fire. We have to stop the emissions of greenhouse gases, and either we do that or we don't. You say that nothing in life is black or white, but that's a lie, a very dangerous lie. Because either we prevent 1.5 degrees Celsius of warming or we don't. Either we choose to go on as a civilization or we don't. That is as black or white as it gets. Greta is clear. She is practical. I respect it.
Greta says we must shift nearly every aspect of society urgently to attempt survival as a species on this planet. But what is stopping us? As a minister that trusts and centers life, I ask what prevents reasonable and natural right action. This is the dilemma that we must resolve to address the core source of the environmental mess that colonization and really capitalism has whipped us into in just a matter of a couple centuries. We've been presented a cultural framework with binaries that failed. Like Greta says, and male and female are blood snippets of truth from a historical and scientific evidence that there is much more and is ever shaping and shifting. Day and night are short changes of the reality that dawn and dusk also exist. Yet Greta says there are some black and white truths. She says either we choose to go on as a civilization or we don't. Well, today, I present to you my black and white truth. This duality is at the core of not just the human experience, but what I often call the carbon experience. The network of life we belong to and cycle through. Like bees, part of a colony, our bodies are part of a larger organism, an organized system. Here it is. Either we center life or we're glitching. Here's the science behind it. The autonomic nervous system in vertebrates is the part of the nervous system that controls and regulates the internal organs without any conscious recognition or effort by the organism. The autonomic nervous system comprises of two antagonistic sets of nerves, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems. The parasympathetic nervous system is the baseline state of life. This is the state of rest, ease, when the immune system is active, when digestion is processed and healing happens. The sympathetic nervous system is the need-based mode for survival. You've probably heard of it as fight, flight, freeze, and collapse. And it's when most of the organism's energy is targeted to survive. I call it a lunge for life. And frankly, it makes me pontificate. The poetry of organisms that are pre-programmed for life, preservation, and protection, and how it could have gone so wrong. Well, unlike wild plants and animals, humans have an uncanny ability to disrupt the completion of the sympathetic nervous system, and basically, we glitch. We get stuck in the sympathetic system as trauma isn't allowed to process and return to the parasympathetic. That energy becomes traffic jammed in our bodies, throwing off our reasoning, our processing, our perspective, our physiological regulating abilities. In short, rest and survival are the two systems that construct and sustain life. And so either we are centering life or we're glitching. If we desire to sustain life, if we desire to save our chance at inhabiting this planet, to defend all human black bodies, indigenous bodies, people of color, disabled, queer, women, trans bodies, if we desire justice and equity in our social order, we must restore these two systems in our bodies and in our cultures. Because our culture glamorizes hustle and busy and avoids rest. We believe excess isn't enough, and there isn't enough for everyone. We think that hoarding wealth and resources is just the name of the game, instead of ecosystem sabotage. We glorify monocrops and the erasure of biodiversity and nutrient density with our manicured, inedible monocrop lawns, with our gender preference for males and patriarchy, or the race glorification with white supremacy, or a bias for abled bodies and culturally attractive bodies with ableism and body shaming and fat phobia, and again and again and again, I can name the social effects of our house on fire, of trauma unaddressed, of nervous systems glitching in survival mode. Today and onwards, let us be clear in curating pathways to healing repressed energy. Because what we are doing outside of our bodies, we are also complicit within them. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm saying hurt bodies. That the repressed grief, anger, fear, shame, emotions, that energy in our bodies, just like those of our ancestors, will shape a world of repression, grief, anger, fear, shame, leading to inflammation and festering. We fuel a pressure cooker that, as the laws of physics demand, will be released one of two ways. One, by relief valve with intentionality and regulated and sustaining life. Or two, by force. It will burst out. This pressure cooker of repression inside ourselves mirrors what we have turned our atmosphere into, stuffed with greenhouse gases, heating us all up. It is outside as it is maintained inside. Our house is on fire, y'all, and the source is us. The diagnosis is clear. Hurt bodies, and our relationship to life as Homo sapiens still easily can skew towards self-sabotage. So we must build a lifestyle of healing, constantly bolstering our resilience and addressing emotions as they present themselves. This is our call. Leah Morris gave us the equation in their song titled Spring Thing, and in the chorus, Leah sings beautifully, "Wake up from your slumber, try to remember a time when we all were together as one. A new day has come, tell me you feel the sun. Wipe away teardrops, springtime has come. I'm wide awake now." Let us explore this chorus to identify our pathways to healing. First, Leah implores us to wake up from our slumber, just like Greta urges and Emma's Revolution sings. Our house is on fire. But how is the question? Well, each of these guided invitations that follow are experiences, and I'll break them down. Please make note in your body how you feel and what comes up. Make note what pings true in your bones and what your body asks for to continue healing. First, Leah invites us to try to remember a time when we all were together as one. Y'all, I want to start with the basis that the earth is not exotic, it's not foreign. The earth isn't even really outside or other from ourselves. It isn't a gift to us or something we must rile up abstract empathy for as a separate object. We are the Black Earth itself. This is the roots of my community ministry for and by Black millennials and Gen Zers, to describe and support an ecosystem of spiritual wellness and to center life. Though we are not only our bodies unite us with all carbon in a shared experience of returning to healing and wholeness with other human bodies, animal bodies, plants and soil bodies. And if at the core of your cosmology you lack clarity of our oneness in a real and tangible way, let me read you this excerpt from a book I've recently read. Once upon a time, there was a universe. We're not sure about how it started or whether there is a reason, but we are pretty sure that during the first sliver of a trillionth of a second, it expanded very rapidly, so that for the most part, it looked the same in every direction and looked the same from every position. It was sameness everywhere, except that particles started to blip out of nothing due to random fluctuations caused by quantum effects. Maybe in space-time, we're still not sure about that. Then again, we're not super sure about this either, but for some reason, those particles formed more matter than antimatter. That process started to form structures, and from those structures, stars formed. Then the stars got old. Some of them died in super epic, rather fabulous fashion, and they exploded into supernova, making heavy elements like carbon and oxygen in the process. Those elements went on to be the basis for all life on Earth. Neil deGrasse Tyson quite beautifully says, "We are stardust brought to life by the universe so that the universe can figure itself out." Try and remember a time when we all were together as one, and do this often, my loves. Leah goes on, "A new day has come." Octavia Butler has rooted the ultimate truth of change throughout her Parable of the Sower series, where protagonist Lauren Olamina observes and explains a theology resilient and relevant in a chaotic and tragedy-filled society. Let's meditate on it. all that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. When you feel stiff-necked, when your mind is narrowed and limited in possibilities, when you are stuck in survival and need to disrupt the pattern of pain, remember, the lasting truth is change. We consciously and unconsciously shape change, and change consciously and unconsciously shapes us. Whether for the better or worse, change is promised in the forecast. A new day comes. So now, what can we do with it? When Leah sings, "Tell me you feel the sun," I hear them asking us to remember in the midst of change, in our bodies, the shared blessing of pleasure. That ease and rest, the liminal space where we heal and restore our souls. So let me tell you a memory I revisit often to tap my body into ease and the parasympathetic. A few years ago, I visited friends in Trinidad, and one day we were hiking and searching out waterfalls in a lush, dense, and vibrant forest. I left my shoes in the car, and walking barefoot in a jungle brought me more present, humble. We climbed over trees and crawled under branches. We walked alongside and in the river, sometimes laughing, sometimes silent. When we got to the waterfall, I gazed at the top hundreds of feet above us. I swam out and sat under the falls, and hundreds of gallons of water shook my body and cleared my mind. I slipped back into the pool, crafted by nature, filled with the crashing water, and followed my body's instinct to float on my back. In moments that felt like forever, with my ears under the water, I could hear the waterfall churning, my heart beating, engulfed in life, vibrant and pounding, and I felt ecstatically connected. My eyes looked up at the tree canopy with slivers of sunlight dancing through. I felt in that moment I was in a familiar dream. I was not my body. I couldn't feel where I ended and the water, the wind, the sky, the trees began. It was connection, peace, and fullness. So much I didn't notice warm salt water leave my eyes and join the overflow all around me. Beloveds, to one another and most importantly to your body, tell them when and how you feel the sun. Revisit it. Draw from this embodied well that needn't run dry. Next, Leah reminds us to wipe away teardrops. I hear in the harmony and lyrics the imperative to process our trauma. I'm not asking if you've exposed your nervous system to tragedy porn regularly, or if you slump under the weight of existential terror and anxiety with your friends. I'm not asking us to attempt centering life via shame or fear. When I ask, have you wiped your tears? I'm asking, have you explored self-sabotage trauma responses in you? It may very well be overwhelm or shame or terror. Have you sat with love and curiosity for your frenzy? Have you listened to the anxiety behind your desperation to flee? Have you ritualized and strengthened with practice your tolerance and skills for managing discomfort, even though you've learned to deny and avoid conflict like a pro? Have you sat with your anger until it revealed fear or sadness? Then, have you stayed as your body, your carbon-made, life pre-programmed body, witnessed as it processed the obstacles to wholeness and digested stuck and festering emotions? Have you gathered the wisdom from your bones and made an altar for them? Have you been with the pain human society has feared facing for centuries and survived, returning with the sureness that life returns to life? Woe ya ya. Have you wiped teardrops, beloved? If not, make haste in building a lifestyle of healing so you can install a pressure valve in your body, not only for this accumulated and the upcoming traumas that you will experience in your life, but also for all that is stored and eager for release from your ancestors who forgot or were obstructed from the way to healing. This is our teleological imperative, first to flourish, and second to heal any obstacle to flourishing. Finally, Leah sings, "Springtime has come, I'm wide awake now." In short, rinse and repeat. This is a lifestyle of remembering and returning, of processing and acknowledging. It is the motion from rest to survival and back again that we access the fullness of our life force energy. We are awake and able to put out the fire. So remember our oneness and the inevitability of change. Soak your body regularly in organic and earnest pleasure and rest. Make spiritual the lifestyle of healing. Then repeat, beloveds. Each one of us has the power to shape change and widen the pathways for healing for all life. May you remember you are beloved, and go forth and be love. May it be so.
Much gratitude to UU Ministry for Earth and to Reverend Yadenee Hailu for that sermon and those reflections. Would you please join now in singing the song that they brought forward in the sermon, Wo Ya Ya, hymn number 1020. As we close our service, I couldn't help but smile as I was watching our tech team work so hard sometimes at the technology you just can't control, that will just kind of do its own thing, and how much it fit with the words of the hymn. We are going. Heaven knows where we are going, but we know within that we will get there. And if there is not a more true song for this moment in our collective life, but we know within, we will get there, friends. I close with these words from the Reverend Wayne Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard. The path is never clear. And the stakes are very high. Take courage, friends. For deep down, there is another truth. You are not alone. Blessings on your day. Blessings on your pathways to healing, regeneration. And now we close with a gift from one of our community members, our Mike Bloom.